Hello and welcome to this week's history lesson. My name is Jess and I will be your host. I won't say teacher, because I'm not. I just love learning, and I think that it's about time that we started talking about the really cool people in history and not just the really rich ones with swords. But it's LGBTQ plus History Month. So without further ado, let's delve into this week's Wonder Woman. Oh, and FYI, all of the women featured for the next few months are gay, queer, trans, part of the rainbow that is the LGBTQ plus community. Okay. Lady Una Vincenzo Troubridge, aristocrat, literary translator, sculptor, androgynous style icon, and lover of Radclyffe Hall, and a prolific diarist. Margot Eleanor Gertrude Taylor was born on the 8th of March 1887 to Harry Ashworth Taylor and his wife Minna. Her family nicknamed her Una as a child and she kept it. She chose the middle name Vincenzo as she wanted to draw attention to her family's Florentine heritage. She grew up in Knightsbridge. She was well educated, she spoke several languages and was an amazing artist and sculptor. I mean, is there anything that this woman couldn't do? I don't know, but after graduating from the Royal College of Art, she set up her own sculpture studio. Sadly, however, in 1907, her father died, leaving her with very little financial support. Marriage, obviously, was the best practical solution. So she married Captain Ernest Troubridge in October of 1908. He was born in 1862 and therefore 25 years her senior. They had one daughter, Andrea Theodosia Troubridge, in 1910. World War I broke out, so Captain Troubridge busied himself and focused his efforts there, rising to the rank of Admiral, and was knighted in June 1919. Meanwhile, Una became obsessed with the Italian-Russian operatic bass, Nicola Rossolamini, and followed him all over the world, because what else is a girl to do whilst her husband is doing captainy admirally stuff? She ended up enjoying a really close friendship with Nicola and his wife Virginia, and did in fact become godmother to their young son. One can assume that the marriage between Una and Captain Tom was not a successful one, as they were separated at the time of his knighthood in 1919, although not divorced, hence why she still got the title lady. But she was living with someone else. She was living with someone else. It was her relationship to Marguerite Radclyffe Hall for which she is best known, however. They met in 1915 through Una's cousin, Mabel Batten, who was a singer. Radclyffe Hall was just 27 when she met Mabel in 1907, and they were very much in love. But Una and Radclyffe Hall, who went by the name of John, became firm friends. A year later, when Mabel died, Una comforted her utterly heartbroken friend through the loss. In 1917, Una and John decided it was time to move in together, setting up home at 10 Stirling Street in the rather affluent area of Knightsbridge in London. Because this is vital information, it was just 0.3 miles away from Harrods. Because this is also vital information, that is my favourite place on the planet. I love that place. Harrods, my happy place. I can't afford anything in there, but it is my idea of heaven. Don't know why, but it is. But I digress. They extensively renovated the property, and Una writes in her diary at the time, "I could not, having come to know her, imagine life without her." It's so beautiful. John really struggled with the loss of Mabel, still utterly devastated and heartbroken. The pair got into spiritualism and regularly held seances, hired mediums, and communicated with Mabel from beyond the grave, because normal. They had a pack of show dogs. Yes, they became doggy parents to dachshunds and griffons, and they were besotted with them. John wrote books, obviously, being an author. Una wrote, translated novel, and introduced the French writer Colette to English readers. Wrote a lot of diary entries. and live their best 1920 high society lives, because what else is there to do? Also, they were an out gay couple in 1920s England. They identified as invert. In the early 20th century, gay men and lesbians were sexual inverts, people who appeared physically male or female on the outside but felt internally that they were of the opposite anatomical sex. Therefore, same-sex desires and attraction was explained as latent heterosexuality, and bisexual desire was known as psychosexual hermaphroditism. In other words, gay men and lesbians were really just heterosexuals in the wrong bodies. Go 1920s England for having such a good view of the spectrum, but at least they tried. Now, Radclyffe Hall preferred to be called John, preferred to dress in men's clothes. I personally think the term invert was something that they really identified with and took ownership of. So, as John was their preferred name, that is how we will refer to them. And just because I don't want to get their gender pronouns wrong, I'm going to refer to them as them, not he or she. Being gay in high society in 1920s England was a bit trendy, although for males it was still very much illegal and like 10 years in prison illegal, and they didn't actually have to catch you doing anything gay. They just had to have a report of you doing a gay thing to put you in prison. Female homosexuality was never explicitly targeted by any legislation, although in 1921 Parliament did discuss criminalising it. This ultimately failed, however, when the House of Lords and the House of Commons rejected it due to the fear that the law would draw attention and encourage women to explore homosexuality. We can't make it too trendy by making it illegal now, can we, boys? It was also assumed that it was only an extremely small pocket of society that was affected by lesbianism. So John and Una probably enjoyed a relatively comfortable lifestyle, for the most part being accepted by their friends, and still being able to attend parties and events because they do be gay, which do be high fashion. Radclyffe Hall then wrote a book. It was a really good book called The Well of Loneliness in 1928. A lot of people loved this book. A lot of people loved it, but a few didn't. One being a particularly opinionated James Douglas, editor of the Sunday Express. And here is what he had to say. I would rather give a healthy girl or boy a vial of prussic acid than this novel. Poison kills the body, but moral poison kills the soul. He called on the publishers to withdraw the book and the Home Secretary to take action if they did not. He further said, the adroitness and cleverness of the book intensifies its moral danger. It is a seductive and insidious piece of special pleading designed to display perverted decadence as martyrdom inflicted upon these outcasts by a cruel society. It flings a veil of sentiment over their depravity. It even suggests that their self-made debasement is unavoidable because they cannot save themselves. The title of this article was A Book That Must Be Suppressed, and it appeared in the Sunday Express on the 19th of August 1928. In case you were wondering, prussic acid is hydrogen cyanide. So yep, this guy would much rather sentence small children to a painful and horrific slow death by asphyxia than them cast eyes upon this book. In a bid to show it wasn't all bad, Radclyffe Hall's publisher sent a copy of the book to the Home Secretary. William Twinson Hicks, the first Viscount of Brentford, who had a reputation for strict authoritarianism, opposing communism, clamping down on nightclubs, and what he saw as indecent literature. He also played an important role in the fight against the introduction of the Church of England's revised prayer book, because why? And against the lowering of the voting age for women from 30 to 21. Possibly the stupidest idea that publisher had ever had. It took all of 2 days for the book to be banned and a lengthy legal battle to ensue. And so that you can bet that the pair then did enjoy quite a lot of hatred, a fair amount of hate mail, homophobia, a very real fear for their lives, and actually their lives could be made illegal. Did Una retreat? Oh no, she stayed by John's side very firmly and adopted a more androgynous style of dress that was more in line with John's style. So, you know, she was really like out and proud, like, I'm here, I'm queer. She did later, however, adopt a more femme style again that was more like complementary to John's look. So devoted to John, Una stayed so loyal even when John decided to embark on an affair during the last 9 years of her life with Evgenia Sulin. She was a white Russian nurse. Una tolerated the relationship and she allowed Sulin to move to Florence with them, and again allowed her to move to Devon with them for the final years of John's life. John suffered from colon cancer and Una nursed them all through that disease up until their death in 1943. Radclyffe Hall was buried next to the crypt of Mabel Batten, still very much in love with Mabel. After John's death, Una had their suits altered so that she could wear them habitually. From this point on, her diaries take the form of letters to Radclyffe Hall. We know that she did allow Sulin a very small allowance, so she was kept. In 1945, she wrote a biography, The Life and Death of Radclyffe Hall, and she campaigned for a special edition of The Well of Loneliness to be released. She also developed a close relationship with the artist Romaine Brooks, who painted her portrait. Just how close? We don't know. But the two moved to Rome, where Una died in 1963. Her wish was to be buried at Highgate Cemetery next to Radclyffe Hall, but the details of these wishes sadly were received too late. So she is buried in the Campo Verano Cemetery in Rome, and on her coffin is inscribed Una Vincenzo Troubridge, the friend of Radclyffe Hall. So that's it, a whistle-stop tour of Lady Una Vincenzo Troubridge's 76 years of life. I think we can all agree she's pretty cool. And whilst it may be argued that Radclyffe Hall was the actual revolutionary in this relationship, let's not downplay the role of Troubridge. Whilst being gay was trendy in the 1920s, it was the sort of, I kissed a girl and I liked it, but now I'm going back to my husband and children sort of gay. And being an out gay woman, whilst not illegal, was a risk. Troubridge had a lot to lose from this relationship: money, social standing, her title, access to her child, allowance, inheritance, work opportunities, family and friends. Yet she let love win. She was a fierce ally of the Well of Loneliness and what it stood for. She also would have mingled with their high society lives with politicians and lawmakers, which in some way would have gone a long way towards showing them that lesbians were not weird freaky monsters and actually real humans. And for that reason, I think she totally gets a place on the iconic lesbian shortlist. There we go, guys, that was the first historic profile of the year. History they don't teach you in school. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Any other famous historic figures that you want me to cover, drop them in the comments. If you liked this video, like it. If you like this content and want to see more of it, subscribe. I'd really love that. And I will see you all in the next one.